Chosen ones are meant to basically be alone, have no family, no friends, nothing. And it's by design, by limiting access to toxic people, you can enhance what you have currently and be free, not only spiritually but mentally as well. And I think that's the core component here, is that when you're in a position where you can fly, sometimes you get to a point where you're higher than others. And now this isn't in an ego's perspective, this is in a literal, metaphysical realm. I think that's really important here. Again, set belief systems and things that you thought you knew come into light is challenged. And I think that's when you know that you're on your right path, is when you get to a point in life where you look back and you've got no one's coming to save you. That is the point where you go, okay, I must keep going on this path. There's two components. There's self-isolation, which is by choice, and we experienced that through COVID, which wasn't really through our own choice, but through the government's. And then there's isolation, and isolation is a byproduct of seeing the world for what it is and people around you for who they are, and going, I don't want to be a part of any sort of generational trauma going forward that my ancestors and my grandmother and great-grandmother have gone through, and grandpa and grandpa, great-grandpa has gone through. You're making an active choice to go, okay, these were the mistakes that they made, these are the thought patterns that they fall into, differentiate between the two, and then go, okay, well, this isn't who I am. These are core beliefs that were instilled in me by my parents and so forth, that don't have to define me. You know, they are basically things that are by design, default settings that are limiting beliefs that aren't allowing me to pursue anything of merit to me. And so when you realize that, you look at your parents differently, you look at friends differently. You know, there's work friends and there's, you know, outside of work friends, but generally speaking, a lot of the people, the chosen ones, they don't follow the same path. You know, they walk in a different direction. And that's not because of ego. Again, there's spiritual ego, and then there's just being at one. And being at one means that you differentiate between the ego. You know the ego isn't self, because what you know, ego is basically a form of false identity. Because ego is destruction. It's the shadow self, more so than anything. Because if you are a chosen one, you'll see that people in your life aren't necessarily, well, they don't necessarily have the best intentions for you, and personal growth isn't linear. There are obviously going to be obstacles along the way, there's going to be hurdles and so forth, but at the end of the day, no one's going to come and save you. And I think that's the realization that many probably have, potentially sometimes too late, and they haven't learned to differentiate between who they want to be and who they actually are. Because when you get to the crux of it and who you are, everything becomes streamlined. And what I mean by that is things come naturally, more effortlessly to you. You still need to do the work. You need to do the work on yourself in order to build the life that you want. And that is essentially the most core component part of this talk, is that the chosen ones know how to do the self-work and to differentiate and to identify thoughts and belief patterns that don't serve them anymore, that's why they're often alone. No family, no friends, nothing.